Hello YouTubers. About a month ago, I did a retro tech review on a Palm OS handspring visor running on the Palm OS operating system. If I'm not mistaken, it was running on version 3.1 or 3.2. I can't really recollect at this moment. Well, today I'm doing another retro tech review on the Sony Clié or Sony Clié. So this device here came out somewhere in 2003. The model for this device is, let me get the stylus, which by the way, it broke. The tip of the stylus broke, or the handle part that is used to pull the stylus out, it broke. So I'm gonna try to get some crazy glue there and try to glue it back together. Let me put that tip there. So this model is the PEG-SJ22, and the U, I'm not really sure what the U may mean. It could have been designated for different parts of the world, like United States, or E for Europe. I'm not really sure. A for Asia. As you can see here, this battery is already bulging. So upon doing some research on the internet, I bumped into this website that offers, they still sell these batteries, and I can get one at around $12.99, about $13. So I'll see if I can upgrade that in a future date. The device has this cover which is connected. It clips. Oh my god. Sorry about that, guys. I dropped my mic, so I hit the mic and I had to restart the video. Well, anyways, it has this protective clip, and it is a cover, so it protects the display. So as you can see here, it can come off. So if I just pull it out, it snaps off, and you can use the device without the cover, without the protective cover. In the case of the handspring visor, which I do have it here, it uses a different mechanism, as you can see, and by the way, it's bigger. So this is it's just like a snap-on cover, So what you would have to do if you were using this device, you would have to unsnap it and clip it to the back, or snap it to the back, but it came off completely. I have another visor here, same thing. I have the cover is snapped to the back, and it has like two little prongs that connect to the where the charging connectors are. So let me try to snap the cover back in place, and this is like the locking mechanism. So this device, I mean, compared to the previous handspring visor review that I did on, is way ahead in terms of technology. I mean, it came after and it's running a different version of the Palm OS operating system. I'm gonna go to info, so that we can see what version of Palm OS this device is using. And by the way, the reason why I have it connected here is because the battery is, I told you before, is bulging. So I'm afraid that if I disconnect it, I'm gonna lose power. So the Palm OS, I was about to say iOS. The Palm OS version was in the 4, so 4.1, 4. So it's way ahead of the handspring visor. I mean, there's no comparison. It's years ahead, and in terms of technology, even the display. This device here had a resolution, a way higher resolution. If I'm not mistaken, the resolution, this is a color TFT display, and the resolution is 320 by 320 pixels. And then these ones were in the 150s or the 160s, and these were black and white. As you can see here, this is completely color. It's a color screen display. So this here, the CPU, or the computer chip, it ran on a Dragon Ball VZ running at 33 megahertz. So back then, in that time, these were very powerful and capable chips for running the Palm OS, because Palm OS was a very light operating system, and it benefited from the fact that it didn't have multitasking, or it had a limited access to multitasking abilities. So in a way, it was a very fast operating system. It was very snappy, and in my view, it's very similar to what iOS is now, the Apple iOS iPhones. Now, this device came with some pre-installed applications such as this one here, MS Gate. So some of the vendors back then, they would include their own what they would refer to as modern day malware, not malware, but bloatware like Windows. If you buy a Dell computer, it's gonna have all this different type of pre-installed programs. If you buy a Lenovo, etc. So it all depends what the type of vendor. So in this case, the manufacturer was Sony, but it licensed Palm OS. And I mean, I'm one of the perhaps the only few back in that time. I used to love Palm OS, and back then there were already Windows PC handheld devices, but I stuck to Palm OS and until the days of the Trio, and I just love Palm OS. Palm OS was like my favorite operating system back then. And what I used to like about it is that it was very snappy, and I had like all the applications that I needed for my daily workflow. I already had it like pre-configured, so for me Palm OS was like my ecosystem. Now this device here, it is very small. The display is a color display. As I stated before, as you can see, it also has it used proprietary for storage. It used since it's Sony, it used proprietary Sony memory sticks. So if you haven't seen one of these, you would have seen them with Sony devices. Any type of Sony, every type of a device that Sony would release, it would have this like proprietary type of memory card, including on their Sony Vaios, their Sony cameras, and a lot of other devices. So they share this type of proprietary memory type of card. So it is very different than the SD card, because the SD card is very universal, so you can share it amongst many other devices. So if you had a Palm OS device back then, you were either restricted to using the proprietary type of memory storage or expansion from that vendor. Like for example, the Palm OS devices, they did use SD cards. The handspring visors, as you can see here, they used to use this type of like TF type of memory proprietary modules, and these were modular. So if you would install them, it would turn the device into either a camera, a cell phone, a modem, etc. So for the case of Sony, these were the type of memory cards that it used for expansion. So the same thing, the device has, I love the fact that it has like all these little neat buttons. Like it has this scroll wheel. If you move the, like if I was to go to the home, menu, so let's say I was gonna go to all, and I can use this scroll wheel to navigate to the program that I wanted to go. So it doesn't work that well because the device is very old and it's all beat up, but just to give you an idea. So let's say I wanted to start a calculator. So what it would do, it would have two functions, the scroll up and down and a select function. So if I press it, it would select. And then this button here was to go back. So I can go back, I can select, and I can go back. So very useful tool, especially so that you wouldn't have to take the stylus out. You can maneuver and use your thumb to do that. Up here it had the power button, as you can see, to turn it on right next to the memory card. And this sensor that you see here is an IR sensor, infrared sensor. Just like the other Palm OS devices, it was compatible with any other Palm OS device, and it was also compatible with some Windows packet PCs. And it was able, with this sensor, you were able to transmit IR data, infrared data, such as contacts, in some cases pictures, even low quality videos via this, you know, I would call it like, it would be like some sort of port, infrared port. And it was very useful. This was before the times of Wi-Fi, before the times of Bluetooth. So infrared was a very frequently used port back then. Like any other devices back in that time, the Sony Clié used their own type of proprietary chargers. So this was before many, you know, technology companies got together and from there derived the USB, you know, micro USB, and they adopted one type of universal type of chargers. Of course, obviously not Apple devices, not iPhones, but nowadays pretty much every modern cell phone has like USB Type-C connector, regardless of what vendor, what company makes it, and mostly on Android devices. So if you get a Samsung, it'll have USB-C type. If you get any other vendor out there, except of course for the iPhone, it would be very nice if they would transfer and, you know, migrate completely to USB Type-C. But in any case, if you had one of these devices and you purchase from a specific brand, you will have to use their own type of proprietary chargers. As you can see, for comparison, if you can see here, the handspring visor, the same thing. They used to have their own type of proprietary charging connectors. And for Palm OS, made by Palm, like Palm Pilots, it used to be the same thing as well. So that was one of the limitations that handheld PCs and PDAs and personal digital assistants, and that you were restricted to having to use proprietary connectors, and in some cases proprietary memory expansion cards as well. So the stylus is here just like any other stylus, but I don't want to put it back in there because since the top portion broke off, I'm gonna try to glue it together. But the device does work, and I preset it to a date back in like a reset date. I don't recall what the date is, so that time is wrong right now, and the date as well. I'm gonna try to disconnect it to see if I don't lose power. Oh, look at that, no power was lost. So very neatly, I mean, very small. If I'm not mistaken, it weighed like somewhere around 4.5 or 4.9 ounces. So it's a very light device as well. And you know, it used to benefit from the size to put it in your pocket. And back in those days, these were the modern days cell phones, smartphones that we use now. And you know, if you had one of these, it was very cool because besides, you know, showing off the device, you used to organize your life. And in some cases, these devices were also multimedia devices because they had media players. They could play music, they could play also short videos. Like this application here, named Kinoma, if I'm not mistaken. If you were running on the synchronizing with the hot sync from Palm OS to your PC, you were able to convert small short videos in the format that would be allowed to play on the Kinoma player. And you can pretty much, you can store movie in a mini format, put it on the SD card or memory stick card, and just push it in there. And if you were on the train or a long trip, you can play your videos or music for the same, you know, reason. So this has been a retro tech review of the Clié, Sony Clié, right here, PEG-SJ22. Thank you, YouTubers.